Lần đầu tiên xuất hiện tại Hà Nội, tuyến BRT01 cung cấp dịch vụ vận tải.
Yo, what up guys? We're sitting in a bunch of traffic on our way to her hometown, so she can explain more why while I drive, alright? I hope this isn't too dangerous.
Là giải pháp ủn tắc giao thông hiệu quả và bền vững. Tuyến BRT.
Waiting the traffic lights again.
There's a lot of traffic. It's just, yeah, it's like rush hour though, so we're moving but slowly. There's really no rules now. You just kind of keep going. Squeeze, sidewalk, drive however you can, just keep moving. Remember, the rule in Vietnam is to never stop.
Yeah, we're going to my hometown to celebrate my grandpa dad's day. It's kind of like normal for Vietnamese culture, but it's strange for Marko. Because he said that why we celebrate after he died. The day we should like be sorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we driving a little bit, like an hour. Hopefully we get that soon because the traffic is not good. So we will show you guys when we get to my hometown. Bye bye. Barely can see.
Why is it so dark? Why is it so dark? Let me answer that question. So, quick fact about cameras is they recommend when you first get one that you start shooting it all manual. Now there's the 3 key settings, right? You have your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture. Well, I realized on this one that I had everything set to manual, and for some reason I put the ISO at 100. So that's why it looks so dark. So apologies about this crap, and actually throughout the whole video it's very dark for that reason. I have learned my lesson and will hopefully fix in the future. Look how much I've learned by the second vlog, right? It's amazing. Anyways guys, back to the work. That was a fail. I don't know why it won't adjust. Anyways, we made it here. So it took like an hour, I think. More than an hour. Once you leave Hanoi, it's pretty nice. So it's a lot quieter out here. So she did what she had to do. Now we're just gonna eat and head back to Hanoi because we both have to work in the afternoon. We made it back.
I'm so tired.
Like we drove like, not like crazy, but pretty fast. Just too tired on the way back to make any other video. But just like it's nice for a bit to drive the bike, but after a while it just starts to beat up your hands. Maybe it's because I drive a manual, so I'm always on the clutch. It's been, yeah, we're just here, gotta clean up and go to work tonight. But I hope you enjoyed watching that little thing. Driving's a whole thing. I could give you a whole tips. Maybe that's what I'll do. So I figure we do it, right? So I actually did this. This is why YouTubers talk about this stuff. You actually need to make a list of what you're gonna say. I'm gonna run through this. Don't consider this one of those top 10 lists or something, but how to drive in Vietnam. This is things that are very different from back in the West, right? There's a lot of things here that, and even you've probably noticed in today's video and the video I put up before that, you know, they drive here very crazy. And as you keep watching this vlog, you'll notice that that's a common theme. The rules here are just very, very, very wildly different. This is in no particular order. This is just kind of how I came up with. I did some research. I talked to some people, okay? So the first rule, obviously, they drive on the right here. So if you're coming from England or South Africa, or you know that they drive on the right. For us Americans, that's fine. The slower you are, the more you want to stay to the right. Just one thing to keep in mind though is don't be all the way in the right because of tip number 2, which is people drive on the wrong side of the road. If they're driving on the wrong side of the road, they'll be on the far right. You don't want to be on the far right, you're going to hit them. You don't want to be over too far right either because there's people walking or people on bicycles, because people park their bikes on the sidewalk. So you can't walk, you walk on the street. So stay to the right if you're slow. If you want to drive faster, go faster, right? The bigger the vehicle, the more respect it demands, okay? Avoid buses, avoid those big tractor trailers, trucks. They're the scariest. Cars, kind of, but they'll be pretty reasonable with you unless they're taxis, as usual, as you know, whether you've been to New York, they always drive like maniacs. Avoid taxis, but general rule of thumb, if it's bigger than you, stay out of its way, avoid it. I don't know if you noticed in the videos, traffic lights are not to be trusted, okay? You can stop at them, people will, other people run right through them. What I'm saying is you can choose to stop or run it, that's your prerogative, but what you need to keep in mind is when the light is green for you, somebody might be flying through it, even though it's red for them. So keep that in mind. I don't want you to die. Your horn is not a thing you honk when you're angry. You honk it to let people know you're around. So when you're honking your horn, that basically lets people know, hey, I'm here. So honk, honk away. You'll hear it all the time. It'll drive you mad for the first few weeks or months you're here. Eventually you get used to it. Almost peaceful. When you buy a bike, you'll often get a free helmet. Now it looks something like a baseball cap, but pretty garbage. So go out and buy yourself a full face helmet if you're traveling. If you're living in Hanoi, it'll be a little bit annoying because it's way too big for normal city life. It's also really hot, but they look pretty cool, right? Buy a helmet. Next thing, just a general rule again to keep in mind, just go with the flow here, okay? It's not gonna be like anything you've ever experienced before. The traffic, as we would consider the West, is awful. The driving standards are horrendous and the drivers are terrible. But just go with it, okay? Don't fight the system, okay? I've met too many people just being upset about this or screaming about that or not understanding. Just go. You just gotta go, 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 go. Just keep driving. Don't stop, okay? But go with the flow, okay? Just follow the traffic. It's like water. Like Bruce Lee said, be like water. Make sure you have a little bit of cash on you, usually like a 200,000 dong, like $8, $9. If the police stop you, you can pay them. They call it coffee money. We call it a bribe. It's up to you. But make sure you're ready to pay them, you know, because technically you'll be driving illegally, which is actually the next point. Like, to get a driver's license is feasible, but the test is completely in Vietnamese. If you don't speak the language, it's gonna be tough for you to get a license. It's gonna be easy to get the bike and all the information, but technically you won't have a license. So something to keep in mind, if the police stop you, they have every right to, because you're most likely driving illegally. So have the money and you'll be on your way. When you buy a bike, make sure you have the blue card for it. That's the registration. Without the blue card, the police can actually seize the bike or demand a higher bribe from you. And also, if you have international health insurance, make sure you have a driver's license, because if you have an accident, the insurance won't cover you because you don't have a Vietnamese license, so you're driving illegally, so they're not gonna cover you, right? Makes sense. This is something I already stated, but keep in mind, just stay calm when you're driving, okay? Otherwise, if you're somebody who gets frustrated easily, just avoid driving. It's gonna make you crazy. I've met a handful of people here who are just insane. Every time they go out there kicking and screaming and cursing and shouting, just, like I said, go with the flow. Keep calm, man. Relax. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Late night driving can be deadly here. Unlike back at home, similar I guess to back at home now that I think about it, but just keep in mind like that's when the drunks come out, that's when the crazy driving is gonna happen. So if it's late at night, just drive a little bit slower and keep your eyes open. People are gonna be all over the place. I personally, I avoid driving past 10, 11 unless I absolutely have to. If you're going out, just take a cab anyway so you're not drinking and driving. Okay? Don't drink and drive. Whenever you turn, especially when you're turning left, you want to follow the Vietnamese, okay? So stay in a group and move. You try to avoid moving by yourself until you're comfortable. Use them as a shield, If there's a mother and a child on their bike, stay on the inside, stay to the left of them, so that in case something happens, they'll kind of protect you. But seriously, not to use the women and children, but if there's a car or another bike or something, just put them between you and the traffic. The Vietnamese know. They're pretty good drivers. Well, in Vietnam, they're pretty good drivers. Outside of Vietnam, they're chaos. So, yeah. Vietnamese don't do it. You still should. Look both ways. So if you're turning right, look both ways because somebody might be coming from a completely different direction. You'll get used to it really quickly. Cars are jumping out of here, pedestrians walking out here, children running out, bikes driving the wrong way. There's just chaos. So make sure that you are looking both ways. Similarly, you don't need to use your mirrors. Many people don't have mirrors on their bike. I would recommend you have a mirror. But make sure you're also looking over your shoulder, the blind spot, right? Just like in your car, look over your shoulder. You don't want to just like run into somebody who's right next to you, okay? Which brings me to the next point, which is make sure your bike has at least one mirror, make sure your lights work, and make sure you're wearing a helmet. That's the three things the police are looking for. Your mirrors, your lights, and a helmet. If you're missing one of those, they'll more easily pull you over. So I've never had issues. If your bike is inconspicuous, you really won't have any issues as long as you're not driving like a maniac. You have three kinds of bikes. You can get a manual, which we know is like a motorcycle, shift gears, have a clutch. You have an automatic, which is a scooter, right? You just twist and go. And then you have a semi-auto here, which is a bike that has gears but no clutch. So your left hand doesn't do anything, but you're still shifting gears with your foot. Now the Vietnamese will tell you, oh, put it in the third or fourth and just go. But don't do that. Use your gears. No, downshift, upshift, all right? It's better for the bike, it's better for the transmission, and also when you're in lower gears, you'll be able to kind of jump a little bit faster, which means you'll be able to avoid potentially nasty situations easier instead of if you're in fourth where you're like crawling to get out of the way of the bus. Trust me, it could save your life. Serious. And the last and final rule just for everybody to keep in mind is like, take it slow. The speed limit here is 40 kilometers an hour, okay? Like, we're talking like, wait.
The answer is 24.85 miles per hour.
So that's 25 miles per hour. So, you're driving pretty slow, like as a top speed, Don't go faster than that. I've been here for more than 2 years now, and I've heard my fair share of people who died, people who ended up in a coma, and 90% of it ends up because of speed. It's speed, alcohol, and not wearing a helmet. So just take it slow and you'll be fine. And also if you're going slower and you do drop the bike or fall off the bike, you're more likely to be okay, right? Remember, like, it's not a joke driving here. I don't want to get serious at the end of this episode, but something just to really think about is like, driving is like, just like back home, we need to take it seriously because even though they're small and little 125 or 150 cc bikes, you can still get hurt or killed on them. I've seen it happen a few times already, and it's just a horrible thing and we can avoid it. Like I said, look at these tips, read online, but do your research and make sure driving's fun, dude. Once you get the hang of it, it's awesome. It's really liberating. It's even more freeing for me than a car because you can park that sucker anywhere. Once you get the hang of it, dude, bikes are incredible. And I absolutely recommend if you come here to drive a bike, but just make sure you're safe, all right? So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the first half of the video, the little travel we did, and I don't know what you think about this talking head stuff. Maybe I'll be able to spice it up, but I'm trying to kind of see what I like and what I don't like, so expect in every video to kind of be a little bit different. So let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.